In the vast, sun-scorched plains of Montana, where the wind whispered secrets through the golden grasses, Eliza Harper stood at the wrought iron gates of Willow Creek Ranch, her worn boots sinking into the mud from last night's storm. At 28, she was a widow, her heart still raw from the mining accident that had claimed her husband, Jack, just 6 months prior. With no family left and debts piling like snowdrifts in winter, she clutched a crumpled newspaper in her trembling hand, cook wanted for ranch. Room and board included. It was her last hope, a threadbare chance to rebuild from the ashes of her shattered life. As the gates creaked open under her push, she wondered if this stranger's home could mend what fate had broken, or if it would only deepen her isolation. Thomas Caldwell, the ranch's owner, was a man forged by the land itself, tall, broad-shouldered, with calloused hands that spoke of endless days wrangling cattle under the relentless sky. At 42, he was one of the wealthiest ranchers in the county, his sprawling estate a testament to generations of hard work and shrewd deals. But wealth couldn't fill the void left by his wife's death 5 years ago from a sudden illness, leaving him to raise their daughter, Lily, alone. He hired help for the chores, but the kitchen had been a revolving door of cooks who couldn't handle the isolation or his gruff demeanor. When Eliza knocked on the massive oak door that afternoon, her rain-soaked dress clinging to her frame, Thomas eyed her skeptically. "You know your way around a stove?" he asked, his voice like gravel under boots. Eliza nodded, her grin as steady despite the exhaustion etched in her face. "I've fed a family through lean times, sir. You can make do with whatever you've got." He hired her on the spot, more out of necessity than conviction, showing her to a small room in the staff quarters and outlining her duties: 3 meals a day, no frills, keep to herself. Eliza's first days on the ranch were a blur of flour-dusted counters and the sizzle of cast-iron pans. She rose before dawn, kneading dough for biscuits that filled the house with a warmth it hadn't known in years. Thomas ate in silence, his fork scraping the plate as he planned the day's work with his foreman. Lily, a 7-year-old sprite with unruly auburn curls and eyes like storm clouds, peeked from behind doorframes, watching Eliza with a mix of curiosity and wariness. The girl was a wild thing, scampering across the fields in overalls, chasing butterflies or helping with the horses, but evenings found her alone in her room, clutching a tattered stuffed rabbit that had been her mother's. Eliza noticed the child's solitude immediately, how she picked at her food, her small shoulders hunched as if carrying an invisible burden. One evening, as Eliza served a hearty stew simmered with herbs from the garden, Lily whispered, "This tastes like Mama's." It was the first words the girl had spoken to her directly, and Eliza's heart twisted. "I'm glad, sweetheart," she replied softly, not pressing further. As weeks turned into months, Eliza's presence wove itself into the fabric of the ranch like threads mending a frayed quilt. She didn't just cook, she infused the meals with care, remembering Thomas's preference for black coffee strong enough to wake the dead and Lily's love for apple pie with extra cinnamon. The young widow's own grief simmered beneath the surface, bubbling up in quiet moments when she'd stare at the horizon, remembering Jack's laughter echoing in their tiny cabin. But work was her salve, and kindness her instinct. She mended Lily's torn dresses without being asked, leaving wildflowers on the girl's nightstand. Thomas observed from afar, his initial reservations softening. "You're good with her," he admitted one crisp autumn morning over breakfast, his voice gruff but sincere. Eliza blushed, wiping her hands on her apron. "Children need more than food on the table, Mr. Caldwell. They need to feel seen." He nodded, but said nothing more, retreating to the barns where the rhythm of labor drowned out his unspoken regrets. The unexpected turn came on a blustery November evening, when a fierce storm rattled the windows like angry spirits. Lightning cracked the sky, illuminating the ranch in stark flashes, and thunder boomed like cannon fire. Eliza had prepared a simple supper of roast chicken and cornbread, but the power flickered out midway through, plunging the house into darkness. Thomas was out checking on the livestock, leaving Eliza and Lily alone in the cavernous kitchen. The girl, usually fearless, clung to Eliza's skirt, her white eyes reflecting the candlelight. "I'm scared," Lily admitted, her voice small. Eliza knelt, wrapping her arms around the child. "It's just the sky talking loud, honey. Come, let's make shadow puppets." They spent the hour laughing at silly shapes on the wall, a rabbit hopping, a bird flying, until the storm subsided. When Thomas returned, soaked and weary, he found them huddled by the fire, Lily asleep against Eliza's shoulder. "Thank you," he murmured, his eyes lingering on the scene with a tenderness he hadn't shown in years. From that night, a subtle shift occurred. Lily sought Eliza out more often, trailing her in the kitchen like a shadow, asking questions about recipes or sharing stories of her mother. Eliza listened, her heart aching with empathy, for she knew the hollow echo of loss. One afternoon, as they baked cookies together, flour dusting their noses, Lily confided, "Daddy works all the time. He says it's for me, but I miss him." Eliza paused, her hands still in the dough. "Your daddy loves you more than anything, Lily. Sometimes grown-ups get lost in their worries." The girl nodded, but her eyes held a wisdom beyond her years. Thomas, overhearing from the doorway, felt a pang of guilt. He began joining them for meals more intentionally, sharing tales of ranch life that made Lily giggle. Yet, he kept his distance from Eliza, wary of the warmth stirring in his chest, a feeling he thought buried with his wife. Winter descended like a white blanket over the ranch, snow piling high and isolating them further. Eliza's letters to her distant sister spoke of the beauty and the loneliness, but she found solace in her routines. One eve, as she prepared a Christmas feast, turkey stuffed with sage, pies bubbling in the oven, Lily tugged at her hand. "Eliza, will you help me make a present for Daddy?" They crafted a scrapbook from old photos and drawings, Lily's small fingers gluing memories with care. That night, under the twinkling lights of a modest tree, Thomas unwrapped it, his eyes misting. "This is, thank you, both of you." It was the first crack in his armored exterior, a moment of profound realization that his daughter needed more than provision, she needed connection, and perhaps he did too. But the true turning point came unexpectedly during a harsh blizzard that trapped them indoors for days. Cabin fever set in, tempers fraying like old ropes. Thomas paced the halls, frustrated by stalled work, while Lily grew restless, her usual energy confined. Eliza, ever the peacemaker, organized games and stories by the fire, drawing on her own childhood tales from the Appalachian hills where she'd grown up. One story, about a young girl who found strength in helping others after losing her family, mirrored Eliza's laugh so closely that Lily asked, "Is that you?" Eliza hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, darling. Kindness saved me when nothing else could." That evening, as the wind howled outside, Lily refused to go to bed without Eliza. "Can she tuck me in too, Daddy?" the girl pleaded, her voice earnest. Thomas froze, the request hanging in the air like frost on a windowpane. The emotional climax unfolded in Lily's cozy room, lit by a lantern's soft glow. Eliza sat on the bed's edge, smoothing the blankets as Lily snuggled under them. "Tell me a story," the child whispered. Eliza began a tale of a lone star guiding lost travelers home, her voice steady but laced with her own unspoken longing. Thomas lingered in the doorway, watching as Eliza brushed a curl from Lily's forehead, planting a gentle kiss there. "Good night, sweet girl. Dream of adventures." As Lily drifted off, content for the first time in moons, Thomas stepped forward. "You've given her more than meals, Eliza. You've given her a mother's touch." Tears welled in Eliza's eyes. "I've lost so much, Mr. Calpel. But in giving to her, I've found a piece of myself again." In that moment, Thomas reached for her hand, his rough palm enveloping hers. "Call me Thomas. And stay, not just as a cook, but as part of us." It was an act of compassion born from vulnerability, transforming the ranch from a place of duty to one of family. Spring arrived with melting snow and budding hope, the ranch blooming under Eliza's continued care. Thomas courted her slowly, with walks through the meadows and shared sunsets, his heart opening like the wildflowers. Lily sighed, her laughter echoing across the fields as she called Eliza Mama one fateful day, sealing their bond. Eliza, once adrift in grief, discovered that selflessness could heal even the deepest wounds. The trio faced challenges, droughts testing the land, old debts resurfacing, but together, they embodied the power of humanity, kindness bridging divides, generosity mending souls. In the end, as they gathered around the dinner table one golden evening, plates laden with Eliza's love-infused fare, Thomas raised a glass. To new beginnings, he toasted, his eyes on Eliza. Lily beamed, and to family. Eliza smiled, her heart full. Life's storms had led her here, proving that in reaching out to others, we often save ourselves. And in the vast Montana skies, where stars twinkled like promises, hope reigned eternal, a reminder that compassion's light can guide anyone home.